Yesterday, the Denver Broncos have released Tyvis Powell's best friend, Russell Wilson. He's going to be free to sign with any team he desires, and he said he's willing to take essentially a veteran minimum contract now because Denver will be paying him about $40 million per year over the next 2 years not to play for the Denver Broncos. So before we talk about any potential landing spots for Russell Wilson and his potential fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tyvis, were you surprised at how this all ended up in Denver, especially considering the fact that Denver is now willing to eat a record-setting $85 million in dead cap, which is twice as much as the previous record, which was Atlanta from Matt Ryan. $85 million in dead cap. Are you surprised they just said, Russell, thank you, but have a good day?
It's a little surprising to me because Russell is a really good dude. Great locker room guy, great motivator, always thinks positively. So from that standpoint, he's a guy that you want in your locker room. I guess I'm not shocked at the play, even though his numbers is not bad at all. I think that Sean Payton looked at him and just said to himself, I can't get to where I really want to go with this guy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, a lot of franchises and a lot of organizations are handicapped because they gave out a bad contract and they don't want to feel like I feel like, okay, so you lose the locker room over stuff like this. Like, it's like the Jets. The Jets, when they had Zach Wilson playing, and they know good and well Zach Wilson wasn't good, but he was the second pick of the draft. I gotta play him. Like,
yeah.
But the players is like, the dude behind him is better. Like, play the dude behind him. We trying to win games. Like, you can't continue to be handicapped and handcuffed to somebody just because of a bad contract. So I actually applaud Sean Payton for looking at it and saying, I don't care about the money. I'm trying to win at this. Because you know, as a head coach, you only get like 2 or 3 years. I'm trying to win, and I need me a guy that I think that I can win with. And I don't think Russell's that guy. So moving on from him, I actually applaud it because a lot of coaches and a lot of organizations would have never made that move. So Russell land on his feet. He'll go somewhere and he'll be a really decent quarterback somewhere for sure. I think he's an upgrade over a lot of other quarterbacks in the NFL. I think when he played the Browns, he definitely made us look foolish. So he still show you he got the ability to be productive. But I'm not mad at Denver for wanting to be great, for daring to be great.
I can't think of another scenario where the head coach won over the quarterback. When does a franchise ever pick a head coach over a quarterback? Especially a quarterback that have invested that much money.
You got to think about this. Who traded for Russell Wilson? John Elway. John Elway's not there no more. Who was the head coach when Russell Wilson went there?
Oh, Lord.
Hackett.
He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Is it a new ownership group, too?
And was it a new?
I don't think so.
No, I think the new ownership came before.
It was right before.
It was like right before, I think.
So I know they're new. I'm just not sure how new they are.
So I think they looked at it and said, the GM and the head coach said, this ain't my dude. I ain't got no loyalty to him. Yeah, he's under contract with us, but he's not who we want, and he doesn't fit what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they was like, let's move on.
I'm shocked that they made the move. I'm not.
I didn't think they'd cut him. I thought he'd be on the bench for sure.
I'm shocked. I was shocked last year when it was trending this way. Let's put it. It became pretty obvious.
Really?
This was going to
Were you shocked? Because I told you about it though.
I have ADD. What'd you say?
I told you that he's a good person. He's not a really good quarterback.
When you commit the type of money that is invested in that, for the ownership to eat that kind of money, that's pretty shocking.
Isn't this the dude who's the owner? Wasn't he like the
Walmart?
Walmart?
Yeah.
Oh, he got it. He ain't tripping.
I don't care how much money you got. $85 million?
Take that. $85 million, a lot.
That's a lot of money.
But that's the thing, though. They learned a valuable lesson out of this whole thing. The Broncos did. You never pay somebody before he steps foot on the field. That's their own fault.
You know what's
they
crazy?
Shouldn't have did that. I know. Well, I ain't gonna say the jury isn't out on that. We don't know. We don't know.
You know what's crazy about the Wilson contract? The $85 million they owe him is from the extension they signed him to when he came to Denver.
Yeah.
Which kicks in this season, by the way. He played his first 2 years in Denver on his Seattle contract. That $250 million extension he signed starts this year. He's not going to play a single down for them. And when you look at the overall body of work for Russell Wilson in Denver, 11 of 19 and 30 starts in 2 years. his traditional box score numbers look fine. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year. But when you watch the games, he was a shell of the former Russell Wilson we saw in Seattle, who was leading the Seahawks deep in playoffs to a Super Bowl, alongside with a great defense.
Okay, because I'm about to say,
alongside a great defense,
I know
the Legion
some
of Boom.
friends that is saying lead. He led them?
He helped lead. Let me rephrase.
Okay.
A combination of great talent in Seattle allowed the Seahawks to win a Super Bowl. But Russell Wilson was a really, really good quarterback for a long time in the NFL. At this point of his career, he's not the same kind of player he was. Don't text Sherm right now. Listen, I don't need the Legion of Boom to come after me, man.
Yeah, nothing, man.
If Sherm wants to sue me,
Sherm got other problems to worry about.
Yeah, he does.
Hey, Sherm, I'm available. You know what? If you need a chauffeur, I'm available.
What happened with Sherm?
Oh, you didn't see?
No.
You didn't see?
It was last week.
Sherm did a hard 48, what he tells me.
I got to look this up. You guys talk for a second.
He did a hard 48. We played Call of Duty a couple of days ago. We laughed about it. He did a hard 48.
I don't know what that means. What's a hard
48? He did 48 hours in jail.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah.
If you need a chauffeur, I told him if you need a chauffeur.
You've already done it. You can do it again.
Come on now. You done seen the whip skills.
All right, so real quick. So, Russ, I think we're all in agreement. He's not the same quarterback he was in 2013, 2019, 2020 when he was with the Seahawks. I also don't think he's a washed-up corpse of a quarterback that can't help a team win in the future. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh's a team that we have talked about with a couple of these quarterbacks floating around the free agent market. We did something with Justin Fields as a potential landing spot. How would you guys feel if the Pittsburgh Steelers were to acquire in free agency Russell Wilson for essentially $1 million on the veteran minimums, not going to eat anything into their cap? We saw what they did last year with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitchell Trubisky. How scared of the Steelers would you be if Pittsburgh was the landing spot for
Essentially, I would be very scared because of the fact that he played for the Broncos and he did us the way he did the Cleveland Browns. Essentially, he would be putting himself back into another situation he was in Seattle, where they have a really great defense, they have a really good talent and skill positions. I just can't mess it up. I don't think he does a terrible job of messing things up. I just think that in big moments, sometimes he doesn't make the plays that's asked of him. But I think he could be very good with Pittsburgh Steelers. They got a really good run game, same thing they had in Seattle, and they got some really good wide receivers with same thing they had in Seattle. So I think he'll be fine. I just think it's about utilizing him correctly. That defense wins a lot of their games. I mean, Kenny Pickett has the comeback drive or winning drive, whatever the heck it is.
He has like 13 touchdowns and 13
starts.
It's
something ridiculous like that. I can't believe is a stat that he actually recorded. So if he has that type of success there with that defense, I believe Russell Wilson could do the same thing.
He is significantly better than anybody they have on the roster
right now.
Significantly better. And he makes this, if that were to happen. And when I was at the Combine, the feeling was that they were going to roll with Kenny Pickett.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
It's batshit crazy. And I hope you do it. Please.
Now,
do it.
What are you going to get out of Russ? 2 years maybe? So, I mean, are you willing to pull the plug on Kenny Pickett's career in Pittsburgh for the next 2 years? I don't know. And maybe there's a way to put Pickett on the bench. I don't know that I see this as possible.
They already did it.
Put him on the bench for 2 years. Put him on the bench for 2 years and let Russ play for the next 2 years and then go back to him. I don't know if that's really feasible or not. But for today, for the moment, Russell Wilson is significantly better than Kenny Pickett as a quarterback. And he makes the Steelers a threat in the division again. Because right now, the Steelers are fourth in the division. As long as their quarterback is who that is, they're fourth in the division.
Would they finish third?
They finished third because Cincinnati had their whole issues. But
if everybody's healthy, obviously you have to factor in health. If everybody's healthy, the Steelers are the fourth best team in that division just based on quarterback play.
Yeah.
But you put Russ Wilson on that team, they're back in contention.
I agree.
For
we talked what Cleveland did and deserve all the credit for winning 11 games this season with 5 different quarterbacks. And they deserve, I guess 4. They started 5, but they won with 4. The fact that the Steelers made the playoffs with the quarterback carousel of Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitchell Trubisky is not as impressive as what the Browns did, but that's a hell of an accomplishment for 3 quarterbacks who are all, excuse my French, they're all ass. They all suck. All 3 of those guys are not starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. And I say that as someone who can't throw a football like 30 yards myself. I know when I see bad quarterback play, turn on any Steelers game and you were seeing atrocious quarterback play. They still won 10 games because they're good defensively. They're extremely well coached. They have some sort of magic curse over Bull, and every time Bull says they can't win 10 games in a season, they find a way to it makes no sense. And they got weapons. And to your point earlier, as long as Russ could be I don't want game manager is not the right word, but as long as he can just get the guys who need the ball in a timely, efficient manner, they got weapons. I mean, we saw what George Pickens did in that Monday Night Football game, take a 71-yard slant route.
And you give Pickens an
to the
actual
house.
NFL quarterback. Whew.
Jalen Warren, I mean, in the second game, their only touchdown came on that 75-yard sweep. Like, they have explosive playmakers. Deontay Johnson's no slouch. Pat Fryermuth at tight end.
Yeah.
Their offensive line isn't great, but it got better throughout the season.
I mean, if
they
you-
have the building blocks of a team that could be a legitimate threat, not just in the division, but in the conference, if they had competent quarterback play. And I still think Russell Wilson is capable of being a competent quarterback. Now, I say all that to say, even if they got Russell Wilson, I'm not terrified. I'm not even... If scared's the barometer and terrified's like, oh my God, I'm like,
In the middle?
no, I'm closer to not being scared than I am to being terrified, even with that. If that makes sense, from a Browns perspective.
I would have to see what other moves they make. Because if you sign Russell Wilson, that means you still got your draft picks. So
And you have all your cap space.
and you got all your money
All your
because
cap
you
space.
take a vet minimum. So they can become deadly. They beef up that offensive line and they get themselves another corner
They
outside
need a
opposite
DB,
of
yeah.
Joey Porter Jr. That is something that's scary.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Pittsburgh, when Pittsburgh went on that run at the end of the year and they started winning the game, Mason Rudolph came in there, and it wasn't just because of Mason Rudolph in there getting them the ball.
Started running the ball.
They brought attitude, and I found that the biggest difference, that's what changed the Browns here, the attitude on the Cleveland Browns. When they went up to Seattle, not the Browns, Pittsburgh, they went to Seattle, and they just like completely out-physical Seattle. I was like, yeah, this team can win a lot of games. They know the recipe, and they know that they can out-physical a lot of teams. That's been like their motto for the past whatever.
Can the Cavs borrow Jim Schwartz?
He need to go talk to him in the locker room for
Has
sure.
there ever been a crossover coaching, bringing Jim Schwartz for a speech?
For a speech, probably.
I made a speech, but like, I don't know. That's
For
just
a role?
yeah.
I can't think of one. Just Paul DePodesta is executive.
What about if it was
There have been other executives that have crossed over, I think.
well, the guy from the Commanders? They brought in all these basketball guys to hire a new head coach.
Yeah, that was in a
Josh Harris.
consultant role.
If it was between Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, those were the two options for the Steelers. Which, by the way, the Steelers say they're not reportedly interested in either. What Jason said about Kenny Pickett being their quarterback, that seems to be all the buzz heading into the offseason plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not buying it personally, but if it came down to Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, which one of those two would make Pittsburgh a more legitimate threat to the Browns and the AFC North for this upcoming season? Not long term,
Russ.
for this upcoming season.
Russ.
Justin Fields.
You think it's Justin? I think it's Russ.
I think it's just because of the mobile aspect.
You ain't done it yet, though. At a consistent level.
Run the ball.
When?
Justin Fields?
Yeah. In the NFL?
2 years ago. Didn't he have 1,000 yards rushing?
You're saying he can rush. Jason's saying he's never won.
When?
Oh, when? I
Yeah.
thought you said rush.
No. Lead a
I
franchise.
say lead a rusher?
No. Lead a franchise and
Oh,
lead an NFL
no.
franchise and win.
But I think under Mike Tomlin, he could get it out of him.
Possibly. I can't argue that. And for the long term, you'd probably say Justin.
And if you respect
But-
Arthur Smith as a play caller,
For right
he'll
n-
put him in the right position.
For-
Because that's
for-
two things Justin's never had: a really good head coach, because
Yeah.
whatever you want to say that,
Yeah.
and a really good play caller.
Yeah.
Well, I think the jury's still out on Arthur Smith being a really good play caller. He had a lot of weapons to work with in Atlanta, and granted, their
The
quarterback
quarterback play
situation,
was not
Who
good.
he picked.
who he picked, completely handcuffed him to not being able to utilize it. But
should've
some of the
stuck
games
with
you see where
Mariota.
Kyle Pitts had one target after drafting him fourth overall, Bijan only getting 6-7 carries in a game, like some of that was inexcusable. I think if I had to pick for this scenario, Fields or Wilson for 2024, I think Russ does make them a more dangerous threat to the Browns just because he's a plug-and-place guy. We talked about Fields in this exact situation. I'm not sold on Fields personally. I think after 3 years, if you have to ask, is this the guy?
You got
9
your
out of
answer.
10 times, the answer is he's not the guy. Now, there are exceptions, and I do think he's super talented, but I think he may be kind of scarred mentally from his lack of
Was
coaching.
Baker the guy?
Nope.
I still don't think he's the guy.
No.
He's the guy. He about to be the guy in Tampa.
And let's see if Tampa wins anything.
They went to the playoffs.
Typically, if you have to ask, the answer is usually no. So I think Russ would make him a more dangerous threat for this upcoming season.
Will Baker Mayfield win a Super Bowl in his career?
I'd be shocked.
I mean,
even as a backup.
Well, that's,
come on,
what
man.
kind of question is that?
Yeah.
What you mean? I know a guy who went further than all of those in that class.
Sam Darnold.
He went to the Super Bowl.
And what did he contribute to that?
He got the defense prepared.
He held the clipboard.
He got the defense prepared to go up against Patty, but he was Patrick Mahomes in practice.
Oh, Lord.
There's still a lot of moves to be made, so I'm going to ask this question. This is by no means a final answer by the time we come to September. But let's just say for the sake of this, Russell does sign with Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, based on the teams we know, the information we have currently available, Wilson on Pittsburgh, Browns is currently constructed, Bengals is currently constructed, Ravens is currently constructed. How would you rank the AFC North? I know there's a million variables that will change come start of the season, but if you give Pittsburgh a quarterback, essentially, how would you rank those 4 teams, Tyvis?
That's so hard.
It is. Baltimore won.
Assuming health, by the way. Assuming health.
Say it. You don't want to say it, but you know it's the truth. Go ahead. Come on. Come on.
Say it.
Come on. You want me to say it for you?
Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Browns 3, Pittsburgh 4.
We are, since it's a Cleveland show, I'll say we're in agreement.
I know.
Would I be crazy for thinking Cincinnati's won?
No.
No?
Not at all.
My gut tells me
You just got to tell me the other day that I was nuts for saying the Bengals were in a tier above the Browns. Now you're saying the Bengals are number 1 in the division.
I didn't say. I just asked. Would I be crazy? I just said. Would I be crazy?
You guys jumped me last week.
I just said.
the
Would it
Browns
be?
weren't as
I
good as
just
the
said. Would it be
Bengals.
crazy?
Go ahead and say it. I did. I really did want to say that.
I can see it on your face.
Because, man, it's because it's Joe. Like, Joe and,
That's right.
and Jamar just make it so.
You're 100% right.
God.
You could easily flip Baltimore and Cincinnati 1 and 2.
It'd be funny to me because 3 or 4 is the coin flip.
Yes.
If they get Russ, that's a coin flip.
You could easily
because of the fact all the guys coming off an injury, you don't know. Yeah. So it could be.
It's an impossible question to have any.
I think you could easily flip Baltimore and Cincinnati. Those are 1 and 2, and Cleveland and Pittsburgh are 3 and 4. And you could flip whichever order you want on 3 and 4.
Go ahead. It's funny because I really did.
I could see the pain knowing what you had to say, and it just couldn't come out.
Because I'm sitting here fighting it about well, the Browns beat Cincinnati every year.
Yep,
you know?
But it's the healthy Burrow factor versus the unknown of Deshaun. And we all think and we all hope Deshaun
Yes.
can get back to the Deshaun that the Browns need him to be. But at this point, Joe Burrow's just a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson right now. Doesn't mean Deshaun can't get back to that same tier, but based off their recent performance.
The clock
Joe's
is
ahead.
ticking
Yeah.
on Deshaun to get back to that tier. The clock is ticking quickly.
Earl, what's up next, my friend?